Hello, welcome to another podcast. This is podcast number 5. And this is going to be a pretty deep, personal, in depth podcast speaking about, well, in front of my face for the longest time has a sister has been, a soul sister, has had her business, her thing has been Your Frequency Matters. And as I was vacuuming just now, and this is how these things happen when I'm washing dishes, when I'm showering, when I'm vacuuming, I allow my mind to just open and receive. And that's when these puzzle pieces fall into place. The old saying is the penny drops. And it takes time and quietness, for the things to sometimes come in. But your frequency matters. Okay. So I'm going to try and paint this picture of what I was receiving and the aha moments I've been having. So since 2019 has been this push to really up level myself into something that I don't yet know what I'm becoming. And remembering the things from my childhood that have been shut down, and it's a journey of self and improvement. And every time, we go into these old memories, thoughts, traumas, programs, whatever you want to call them, things that trigger a moment, and you dive into it, and then you come to a healing moment, you're opening your energy and releasing a density, and your frequency raises. So I'm going to just use numbers that don't mean anything. I'm not going by when you're a frequency 600, you're this. When you're a frequency. No, I'm just using just numbers to make example, So let's say that when you're born, you're at frequency 1,000, depending on where you come in, but your frequency, your soul, you come in this pure soul with some maybe leftover baggage from, past lives or something. So maybe you might be in the 900s or something like this, but you come in. And then depending on what your life is like, maybe you come into poverty, a poverty program. Maybe you come into a program where there's abuse. Maybe you come into a beautiful program where you have everything you could possibly have. But then, situations and things that happen over time, you become denser and denser and denser, this heaviness, right? So then by the time you hit, your teenagers, your 20s and whatnot, and you're choosing a job, and you're maybe, have been at certain places, you've been around other people, and their frequency has, you've actually lowered your frequency just in order to fit in, because isn't that all we ever want? Is we want to feel accepted and loved and be a part of something, because we've lost when we come from the great soup, the I am presence that's up there, out there, whatever you want to call it. We are disconnecting ourselves from it. So we're always searching for this connection again, right? So yeah, it's a loneliness. So then we get to a certain age, some of us, we start to it's like that we've been gathering clothing, we've been putting layers and layers of clothing on, and some of these layers have holes, and some of them are dirty, and some of them are ripped up, and some of them are armor, and some of them are tight and can't come off very easily. And so then we get to a point in our life where it's like, okay, we need to start stripping these things, because we need to get back to that naked, bare soul, of who we are for our true purpose, whatever your true purpose may be. And that's for you to decide. No one can tell you what that is, because everyone has a reason for everything. and your reason can change over. So they're saying that their trajectory is that we live to about 120 now. We're getting back up there, because humans once upon a time lived a few thousand years because our body sustained it, because we had everything we needed to have this beautiful machine that we call a human body, right? But now we've kind of gotten to a point where we cannot even sustain up to 100 years. But we're getting up there again. They say 120. So imagine that, in this lifetime, it's now time for you to start regaining yourself, living in where you want to be, and as I was getting, maybe in your 20s, your purpose might be one thing, and in your 30s, another thing, and 40s, and so on and so on. Your purpose may consistently change, and that's okay, because, we are these amazing beings that we're basically shapeshifters, We can be anything we want to be just by taking a step in that trajectory. Okay, I digress. Back to frequency matters. So what I was just contemplating, receiving, was how lonely I've been feeling. I've been feeling very lonely. And I come to the realization that, and my journey has been about self-love, because it is very painful to me to look at myself some days and see what I look like and not accept and love the being that's looking back in the mirror. That's a huge journey for me. And I honor those people who can do that, who look in that mirror and they're like, dang, that's great, So the loneliness, that loneliness of not really belonging to anything, but yet I've now become this person that I belong to myself. I'm starting to really like being with myself, by myself. I enjoy the thoughts that are within me. I enjoy the energies that are around me that I can feel when my frequency is higher, when I'm in a higher vibration. That I can tap into all different worlds and realities, and I could feel the love that we once had, when we were in the all presence, in the I am, in the whatever you want to call it. But being a human and living on this earthly, on this earth plane, we have to do certain things sometimes to sustain our life, our journeys, as we're figuring things out, because we are, remembering our divinity. And so an example would be like, before I went to move to overseas, I felt very lonely because I didn't have human interaction on this higher frequency that I needed. But I was very much feeling the universe all around me. And then I moved overseas, and I moved into a place where not everyone in that space understood what I understood. And so there was a lot of heavy, you must follow these programs. And I had to, because it was like almost a forced thing in order to survive and live. And so my frequency really plummeted. And then I felt the need for having to be accepted by those around me because my frequency was lower. When I moved away from Belgium and from overseas, and I came back to America, I went into a very quiet space again because I was growing my frequency. I was again very alone, but yet feeling satisfied that I wasn't alone mentally or in that upper space. Because that's the one thing, is every time my frequency is higher, I don't feel so alone mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all of that. But I feel very physically alone because I have not yet found those people around me that are in the same frequency or that are in the same trajectory, right? So there is this loneliness. And so moving forward, then I went into, my frequency raised quite a bit, and I felt the journey of, we need you in the medical field. We need you to alchemize and transmute and place all of these wonderful energies, frequencies, keys, codes, whatever you want to call it, this vibration into this, you know? And I said, okay, you know, and I was interested. And then I joined a school with very extremely low frequency people, really, really low frequency people. And I had to lower my frequency in order to, like, on a daily basis, on a timely basis, in order to just be able to be understood by the people around me. But over time, when you're faking that lower frequency just to be able to communicate, you yourself start to lower your full frequency, and you're kind of like struggling. And all those things that you learned when you were in your higher frequency and you were doing really well mentally, emotionally, you know, all of those higher planes, now you feel the loss of the physical again. The physical is a lower, that's why that's lower chakras, right? It's a lower frequency. Not that it's bad. This is, all of this is not saying what's good, what's bad. It just all is. And so here I am, you know, feeling bad about, why won't they accept me? Why don't they like me? Why don't they see who I am? Well, it's like speaking, it's like needing to, it's like knowing only how to read Braille when everybody else can read physical words, you know, like it's that different, right? It's not even that, you know, because I was going to say, if you know, it's speaking two completely different languages, but at least with, you know, languages, you can kind of get a feeling for something by the way the person looks, feels. No, like when you're actually reading Braille, you cannot really tell. You need to actually know how to do that. It's that different. All right, so moving forward, then I went into a quietness again before I started my externships. And when I chose my externships, I asked the universe, please help me be in a difficult, not difficult, that's a wrong word, but a stricter, challenging, a more challenging facility. So that way I can learn the best way. You know, if I'm in a more strict regime where it is challenging and you are expected to be your best and highest caliber quality, then you know the whole thing, all of the people in that place are going to be, if they're there for a long enough time and they're challenged on a daily basis, they're going to be of a higher caliber person because they feel that those are the things that they want to bring. You know, if they weren't wanting to be in there, they would have been gone a long time ago. And that's what I found. I found that there, even though these people weren't spiritual and they weren't following all the, you know, things that a lot of the spiritual community follows, and, you know, they were not in the know of all the different things that we talk about in the spiritual community, but yet they were a higher frequency caliber people who would strive for the best and tried to make a difference in everything they did. And this was just in their daily life. But yet it was still a lower frequency than what I was used to. And so here I tried to find camaraderie, and I found goodness and I found camaraderie, but there was still the loneliness, because when we would start to talk about certain things, they were lost. You know, it was interesting though, when you get into these places, I mean, most of the people around there had crystals. Most of the people had an understanding of, let everyone believe what they want to believe. You know, that's higher thinking, higher frequency thinking. You know, allowing others to be what they want to be, where they want to be. You know, what I was speaking about when I went to school and it was the lowest frequency, there were people who were very religious who felt that if you were anything but, you were evil. And those are very low frequencies because you're hurting other people and making them feel uncomfortable and bad about just being who they are if they don't live in your what you want. Okay, so back to this frequency thing. So as I sat here and I was vacuuming, I was thinking about how this last time around I feel lonely again. And I thought, do I really feel lonely? And it was like, yes and no. You wish that you had the lovey, cuddly, kissy, huggy kind of physical around you. But your heart, your soul knows that you have everything you need in the universe around you. If you need to feel love, you can literally go outside and look at the sun and receive such loving energy. The flowers, the plants, the animals, anything and everything around you holds some type of beautiful, loving energy, if you look for it, and it's all there. And if you necessarily can't, like say you live in a box, then you can close your eyes and get quiet and dive inside and you'll find it there. You'll find that light, and that light will start to tell you beautiful things. It'll tell you how good you are, how wonderful you are, how you're doing your best, and they honor you for that, This is that inner voice, that inner thing that connects you to the all, to the divinity within. That's the divinity within. And we all hold that. But when we get into a lower frequency, that's when we're really wanting to be in this physical way. And the last little bit that was kind of coming into me is like, say you meet someone and you think, oh man, here we go. Yes, amazing. And you get on this journey and you are with each other. Could be, male, female, doesn't really matter, friendship, lover, interest, whatever. It just is a person who makes your heart feel really great, and you guys are on the same frequency, and it just really clicks, and you're like, yes. But then, things that we each come in contact will change our frequency. And suddenly, maybe, if one over the other does not recognize that their frequency is changing, they may allow themselves to lower their frequency and stay within certain programs or traumas or victimhood, And we can't judge. We really shouldn't judge because that's just their journey. These were things that in order to become the being of clarity, of highest frequency, you have to go through those things. And sometimes you have to go through those things hundreds of times, over and over again. It's like layers of an onion, right? Onion skins, right? Peeling back one after the other, and sometimes you have to revisit it over and over and over, and eventually you'll get to the core. And then there'll be a switch or a change. But sometimes it takes months, years. And in that time, you have a decision yourself to make. Do I wait? Do I stay? Do I let this affect my own frequency? Or do I hope that someday we can meet again? Because we're ever changing. There's all these different sayings. People are in our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. They're in here for a page of our book. They're in here for a chapter. They're in here for a whole book. They're in here for volumes, There's all different metaphors to go with that. Sometimes people come in for a page and then they're gone for chapters and chapters, and they come back for the rest of the book. But the allowing of each person to discover and uncover and recover, the what they need in their lifetime is really the journey. And that's that whole journey of self. So as I sit here feeling physically lonely, I honor the being that is Roseanne, and I honor the love that is radiating and rippling through me, and I hold on to that. And I feel satisfied that I understand my feelings. I understand what I'm going through, and I now will go and take care of myself in the way that I know will help me feel better. And in doing so, it ripples through the collective. It helps others understand and feel the same. Learning about yourself and learning how to take care of yourself is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to humanity, to the collective. But yeah, I thank that beautiful being who created Your Frequency Matters, because that saying, her tagline, has been ringing over and over through my mind for the past 6 months or so. And today it really anchored into the space it needed to anchor into. So, final thought is that your frequency, as you elevate and you get into new spaces in your life, you may find that you lower your frequency in order to communicate with other people, but be aware that when you come back to yourself, remember to raise your frequency again. Keep it going. Keep it going, because then things don't affect you. Things don't bother and hurt you and harm you. You are able to receive and understand through your heart how to navigate each situation. And when you're in that heart space, you're in your present life. You're not worrying about what's to come, and you're not painting over the past. But just remembering that there are some times where, because we are human and we are living a human existence, that we may slip, we may fall, if you want to call it that. Our frequency may lower a bit, and we may start to feel all those ugly things and say all those ugly things to ourselves. But we can that easily and quickly say, oh, wait a minute, I know what I'm doing. Okay, let's do the things that make us feel better, and let's raise our frequency, and hey, here we are again. And over time, because that's what it's all about, over time, in living in the present now, we can enjoy every minute, even if we're doing it by ourselves. But then, when we are around other people, no matter what their frequency is, we can enjoy them for who they are in that moment. I mean, someone could be a very heavy, lower feeling frequency, but they may have some of the best jokes. They may have some of the prettiest art. They may be able to create beautiful hairstyles or makeups or dresses or, whatever it may be. And so in our moments, we enjoy them for exactly what they are and who they are, and that gives pleasure to our earthly existence. So our journey, or my journey right now, is to remember that when I'm getting angry about the things that I can't seem to control, or feeling sad that there's not a physical body that I can be affectionate with, I can remember that as long as I remain present and in my loving heart space, those other things don't really seem to exist, because all that exists is this love that I'm walking in. Okay, that's all I got. I'm tapped. It's really interesting how it happens. It feels like a well. When I receive the information, it's like a stone well, and the well gets full. And when it gets to the top, I sort of look into that well and I say, okay, what's going to come up? How is this going to, what's the levels? And it almost looks like rainbow levels of color. And it's like this, talk about this, then this. And then as I go deeper into the well, I get to the bottom, and then it's empty. And then I feel like, that's it, all done. So that's how mine works for me. Anyway, I hope that this helps you in any way that, anything that I said, or just the frequency itself. And have a great morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be. Thank you.